Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pirate Therapist Podcast, the show where we explore the power of belief, confidence, and community. I am Lee Perry. I am the Pirate Therapist, and today we're diving into into something new. We're going to try and deal with the concept of rejection. Have you ever been rejected? We all have been. We will be again. In this week's episode of Rejection Resilience, I'm talking about how rejection messes with the mind and what we should do after we want to close the door on everyone and go hide. Rejection is something that we all face, from jobs, relationships, auditions, even friendships. What was your first memory of rejection? And what did it teach you? Did it teach you anything? Did you learn anything? Did you look for something? Remember, when things don't go as planned, we ask ourselves why. While looking at rejection, we also need to look at our lives and see what we are able to do now because we were rejected from something else. Rejection can feel like an ending, but a different perspective to look at is what doors are now open now that I don't have that commitment. What opportunities can I now participate in that would not have been possible had I not been rejected? So I, like everyone else, has experienced rejection. We've all experienced it. We've seen it. We've had to go through it on a professional level, on a personal level. We've all experienced rejection in some form or another. And rejection hurts. It's not just metaphorically. Studies show that social rejection activates the same part of the brain as physical pain. That's why being ghosted, passed over, excluded can feel like a gut punch, because in a very real way, it is. Emotionally, rejection shakes our sense of belonging and worth. It can trigger shame, self doubt, fear that we're not good enough or that we'll never try again. Some people get angry, some people shut down. Many of us start to believe that a single no defines our value. I have very strong thoughts on that, but we won't get into that today. But the pain of rejection isn't a verdict, it's a signal that we care, that we showed up, that we risked something. And in that way, rejection isn't weakness. It's proof that we're brave enough to try. What matters next is what we do with it, how we handle it. Pain, it's real and neural. Studies show that rejection activates the same areas of the brain as physical pain, particularly the anterior cingulate cortex. That's a mouthful. That's why a breakup, being excluded, or a job rejection can literally hurt. It's not just in your head. Shame and self doubt. We often internalize rejection as proof that we're not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough, attractive enough, worthy enough. All of these things. This shame is very harmful to one's sense of self. This can lead to rumination, negative self talk, and low self esteem. It can make us fear future risks. Rejection makes us more cautious, sometimes too cautious. I won't apply again. I'll keep quiet next time. Overthink. This can shrink confidence or motivation. Anger and resentment. Some people experience anger as a defense mechanism, especially if the rejection feels unfair, sudden, or dehumanizing. This can either be channeled into productive energy, potentially productive energy, I will prove them wrong. I'll show them. I'll try harder next time. Or toxic loops. They never liked me anyway. It's all about nepotism. They're only doing this for their friends. I was rejected because I didn't count or I don't matter. It can lead to loneliness and isolation. Social rejection, being left out, ghosted, or dismissed, makes us question our value to others. This can lead to withdrawal, mistrust, or feeling like we're invisible, like we don't matter. Some common responses to rejection or is overpersonalizing. I'm not good enough. Avoidance of risk. I'm not going to try again. Negative self-talk. Motivation for some to improve or prove others wrong. Some scientific insight. How do I say this? Social rejection activates the same brain pathways as physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex, I may refer to that now as the ACC. It lies in a unique position in the brain with connections to both emotional limbic system and the cognitive prefrontal cortex. Thus, the ACC likely has an important role in integration of neuronal circuitry for the affect regulation and can be identified as a distinctive region in understanding psychopathology and affect regulation. the ability to control and manage uncomfortable emotions. I should have just said that instead of all the other part. This is a primary goal for mental health therapists in treating psychopathology. The avoidance of painful emotions is often a motivating force in negative behaviors such as substance abuse, binge eating, even suicide. These actions are taken as a part of maladaptive approaches to control, avoid, or regulate painful emotions. We therapists often treat patients by helping them to develop more adaptive coping mechanisms in regulating their emotions. Some positive ways to cope. Rejection doesn't just sting, it lingers. But the good news is we're not powerless. We can learn to face rejection with more clarity, less self-blame, perhaps a little more pirate grit. So let's talk about how to cope, not just feel better, but to grow stronger. We should reframe the rejection. Rejection often feels like a statement about your worth, but it's usually a reflection of fit, timing, or context. Reframing means, what if this rejection isn't an end, but a redirection? For example, I didn't get the job. Maybe it saved me from burnout, or maybe there's another space that I can fit better in. Rejection by a person. It may have revealed some kind of misaligned values or open an emotional space for someone who's in a healthier space that would be a better relationship for us. Something I don't think enough people put enough time and energy into is looking at those potentially misaligned values, because that will signal a lot of red flags in a relationship. Tools. We use reframing language. This is feedback, not failure. Ask, what could this rejection be making room for? Try journaling, the silver linings. Even look for the silver linings, look for the positive. We talked about that, I think, last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. Look for the silver linings, the positives in any situation. There always is. It's just sometimes we have to try a little harder to find those positives. Separate your self-worth from the outcome. You are not your achievements or your rejections. You're not your accomplishments. It's not your identity. These are things that make us feel good, those achievements, but that is not who you are. Don't tie your self-worth to external approval. Rejection feels like an identity collapse, but your worth isn't something that changes. Your worth is constant. You are valuable as a person. Things you do, like, say, an audition or a job application or interview, someone rejecting you as far as friendship, these are not examples of your worth, of your value. Your value doesn't change. For example, if you didn't get published when you try to write a book, that doesn't mean you're not a writer. You weren't chosen. That doesn't mean you're not worthy. Practice affirming your intrinsic value, who you are, not what you do. Those are very distinct and important differences that we need to focus on. Ask yourself, would I still value myself if no one else said yes? Talk to people who see you clearly and who aren't afraid to remind you. We need that affirmation from people. We need people to tell us that we're okay. It's very bolstering to our egos. And sometimes with rejection, our egos get very bruised. So it's nice to hear from somebody who loves us and cares about us that we're okay. It doesn't change the value, but it's nice to be reminded. We want to extract meaning of the rejection without spiraling into self-blame. Rejection can be a great teacher, but only if you focus on constructive lessons, not self-punishment. Beating yourself up does nothing positive. Healthy reflection. What specific skills can I improve? Was there something outside of my control? Was this even a good fit to begin with? Avoid thinking errors like globalizing. That means using phrases like always and never. I always get cut out and rejected. I never get the roles that I want, or I never get the job that I was looking for. Avoid those globalizing statements like never and always. If you globalize, I didn't get this, that doesn't equal I will never succeed. This happened does not equal everything is ruined. Lessons, not labels. Write a journal entry about rejection. Okay, write 1 page per rejection. Focus on what you can take forward, not what you regret or wish you had done differently, but instead focus on what you can do moving forward. Try and find those positives. Look for that positive. That's important to try and do. Otherwise, we get overwhelmed with this negative emotion. We want to build rejection resilience. We want to treat rejection like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger you get. Resilience comes from not avoiding rejection, but from experiencing it and learning that you can survive and grow and move forward after rejection. For example, the concept of rejection therapy. Seek out one rejection a day for 30 days. I'm not sure I'm a super big fan of this, but I understand the concept. It reduces the fear and builds confidence. I don't think we need to go looking for rejection per se, but when we find rejection, instead of hiding from it, we need to acknowledge it. We need to perhaps even embrace it and accept it, learn what we can from it, and move forward into new opportunities, into new challenges. Change the goal from avoiding rejection to building your courage muscles. Try asking for things more often, even if the answer is no. Rejection really hurts. We want to express the emotions we feel when we have rejection or feel rejection. We want to express those verbally or in some fashion so we don't bottle that up. Because when we bottle up negative emotion and pain, it makes it worse. The expression helps metabolize the experience, making it manageable instead of overwhelming. You can try writing. Free write everything you feel without judgment. Nobody's going to be reading it unless you let them. This is a journaling exercise, so don't let just anybody read your journal. You need to be able to write free without worrying about what someone's going to think if they read it. So don't let them read your journal. Write a letter to the person who rejected you. Then don't send it, but just process through those feelings while you write. Then you can try rewriting the story of that rejection, but do it with a hopeful ending or with a positive outcome. And that can help shift your way of thinking to maybe put you in a better frame of mind. Talking. You can share with a friend who listens. Don't ask them to fix. We don't want them to fix. We want you to express. That is the fix you're looking for. We want you to be able to talk about it, process it, without someone trying to give you a solution, because the solution is you're expressing it so it doesn't build up inside and create that negative pressure inside of you so you can let go and resolve this rejection and move forward. Name what you're feeling. When you talk to your friend, name what you're feeling. Disappointed, embarrassed, angry. Therapy can help you untangle the deeper wounds tied to earlier rejections. And oftentimes, since we've all experienced rejection, that's not a bad approach to talk to your therapist about. I firmly believe we're all crazy. We just have different flavors. We all need therapy. We all need someone to be able to voice our thoughts and feelings with, and in a non-judgmental environment that can help us see perspective and process through some feelings and move forward in life. If we name and express our emotions, this is going to reduce those feelings, those negative feelings. It's going to reduce their intensity. And that's neuroscience. That's not just self-help. I want you to separate your self-worth from outcome. You are not your job interview or your audition or your relationship. When you look at the rejection, I want you to look at external factors. Is it bad timing? Is it a bad fit? Is it those conflicting values that will indicate a bad relationship? Is it just bad luck? What's the context? What external influences are contributing to the rejection that you're feeling? Try not to overanalyze. What specific, non-personal feedback can I use? Avoid spiraling into unhealthy generalizations. Generalization is a thinking error, and we want to try and avoid those. We want to build rejection resilience. The idea of rejection resilience, the more we acknowledge and face rejection that we all get, the less power it has over us. I like to tell people, if you can face the monster and you can name the monster, we can fight the monster. The more you face it, the less power it has over you. Try journaling, writing it out. If you don't have someone you can talk to or you can express and work through these feelings with, try journaling those feelings, or go to therapy, or if you have someone to talk to, that's my personal preference. Find someone you can talk to and have an honest conversation without trying to fix anything, just trying to express and process those emotions. Try to normalize expressing disappointment. We all get disappointed. It's not a weakness. We struggle sometimes to feel good after rejection, and that's hard. We don't want to feel rejected. But if we can get used to the idea that we all struggle with disappointment, we all struggle with rejection. Again, the more we name it, the more we face it, the more we don't hide from it, shut down, or avoid it, the less power it has over us and the more we can move forward in our own lives. I chose this topic for today because I had just auditioned for a show and I did not get in. And I didn't expect that it was going to hit me very hard, but it hit me harder than I thought it would. And that's hard. I feel rejected. I go through all the same questions everybody else does. Well, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe, they wanted somebody else instead of me. Well, clearly, but maybe they wanted their friends. It doesn't matter. The point is, I was not cast, and I thought this would be a really good topic to talk about because it really does hit all of us. We all get rejected from time to time, and it can be very humbling. It can be very discouraging. But this was a good topic for me personally this week, which is why I chose this, because I needed to remind myself that we need to not shrink from it. We need to embrace it, acknowledge it, talk about it. Congratulations, you're the people I'm talking to. Rejection is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to pause, reframe, redirect, shift your perspective, look for the positives, reflect on a rejection that you now see as a positive. These are my challenges to you this week. I want you to reflect, see if you can remember a time where you were rejected, but now when you look back on it, it turned into something positive. Either you had a better opportunity come up, you found a better job, whatever, better person to date. I challenge you to try one of these coping strategies this week. Share your story. If you go to my website, piratetherapist.com, you can send me an email. I would love to hear a story. It doesn't even have to be about today's example or topic, but I would love to hear your story. If you have an example from today's topic, that would be great. If you have other stories you would like to share that I might potentially use on one of these podcast episodes, I will look into that. That is something that I am not opposed to. I will put a link to the website in my description here on YouTube. We all fear rejection because it threatens our sense of belonging, but often it's just a signal, not of our worth, but of our path needing a new direction. I really want to encourage all of you not to shrink or hide from any rejections you feel. I want you to embrace it and look for the positives. What opportunities do you have now that you didn't have before, that you couldn't or wouldn't have had if you had not been rejected? It is a very good skill to practice. It's a very good thing for you to work on for your own self-growth. So I think this is not the longest episode. This is another brief one, but I encourage you all to hang in there, keep trying, don't get discouraged. Try and reframe, find a new perspective, get back on your feet, get back in there and try again. Sometimes it takes us a minute to name the monster, but we're always able to face it if we're willing. So let's always face it. Eventually we'll name it. And once we have those two things, we can defeat the monster, whatever that monster looks like. So for this week, I will bid you farewell. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you all stay safe, and I will talk to you again next week.